Well, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking, the very last episode of 2014. I'm Xander Gibb, and on today's show, along with my co-host, Tyhe, Egar, I will be looking at what's been in 2014. More to come in a mere moment. So as per usual, you can interact with us during the show in the chat room at the bottom of the page. Keep scrolling down on the link and it will take you there. If it doesn't let you chat, it's because you have to sign in and join Blog Talk. It's very simple. You can do that by clicking on the Facebook or Twitter links, and that will let you join with that. You can also call us with your comments and your interesting stories and observations from 2014 on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Or on Twitter, you can tweet me at Xander Gibb, Xandergibb, capital X, capital G, and you can tweet Tyhe at Tyhe Paul Egar, TYHEPAULEGAR, capital T, capital P, capital E. Tweet me if you're too shy, and I will make your point for you. Oh, yes, indeed, I will. So this was 2014, the year that was, and we will all have different memories of it. For some, they will be fond, and for others, they will be not so fond. 2014 for me was a very mixed year, was both good and bad, but I got through it. I survived it and came out the other end stronger and even a little bit lighter, thank God. I did, however, learn a lot about myself this year and found out how strong I actually am. Now, most people see success in terms of everything being plain sailing and don't even begin to explore the downtimes, but instead they fight against them. Now, surely life is meant to be more than constant peaks, or how would we ever appreciate the high times without it being interspersed with the odd low or two? Now, when one accepts there will be lows, we tend to see them differently and actually ride them rather than run from them. Because no matter how far we think we can run from low times, they actually catch up with us, as they are just as much a part of our lives as the peaks. And it's in our most desperate times we really learn the most about our true selves. And embracing ourselves is so much better than running away. As I've said many times, it's all about attitude, and remaining positive is essential in order to keep sane and to keep going and find a way through this life. Now, negativity spoils so many things, and for most people prevents them from finding the true joys of life. And as my grandmother used to say, there's no such word as can't. And she was right. And what stands in the way of us truly reaching our goals is that very thing. And we base our perception of what is possible on what has gone before. So I challenge you and me, new year, new you. Break out of your confines and evolve personally, mentally, physically, politically, in every single way, for you have the power to do it. That was Xander's soapbox, and the very last soapbox for this year. If you'd like to come on and get on your soapbox, come and have a moan about what's really bothering you, you can email me at xander@xandergibb.com. That's Xander at xandergibb.com. Oh, yes, indeedy. So hi to everybody in the chat room. Hi to the guests. And feel free to call us with your commentary on 2014 on 347-884-9061. And now it's time to welcome back to the show for the very last time this year, the one, the only writer, producer, singer, honorary Glaswegian, the one, the only Mr. Tyhe Paul Egar. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, I'm getting there, and just can't wait for another year to kick in. And I'm positive right now, but give it 24 hours, it might have changed. So, what has your week been like? Because you don't really celebrate Christmas per se, do you? Being a pagan, what does a pagan do for Christmas?
Well, very little, to be honest, although this year I spent it with friends, and basically I have been self-abusing with food and champagne. So I got involved with other people's Christmas, but yeah, I don't celebrate Christmas the way everyone else does. And it was a little bit annoying, actually. I was talking to friends because my colleagues as well got into it and asked me to explain, where Christmas, does come from and how the Christians stole it. Little dig there at Christmas. Hi, folks. So I was explaining that. And I'm not going to go into it now, so don't worry, Christians. Fear not, you are safe. But so what I'm talking about, just discussing it. For the moment, yeah, give me time. I've only just got on there. But it was just, talking about it, and not in a horrible way, not in a naff way, but just saying, well, this is it. This is where it stems from. This is really the original celebration was about the fact that, we'd had a good year and celebrating the fact that crops were well and and harvests were good and villagers were well. This is the short version. So it was good, yes. But what I was annoyed about was I was saying, well, I can't really put a tree up because it's really difficult to find a pagan tree because all these horrible fake trees obviously are, well, they're horrible and fake, and all Christmas trees, it's kind of an ecological disaster. But you're stuck with these awful baubles that put up, big red and gold bowls, which, believe it or not, are not every gay man's dream. So
wait, are you telling us that you have red and gold balls, Tyhe? Is that what you're telling us today?
No, it depends how much money's changing hands, frankly.
Right, absolutely. Now, the thing that I kind of admire about you is you don't consider yourself to be a Christian, you don't celebrate Christmas, et cetera, but you don't dump on those that actually do. You kind of live harmoniously with the views of others, even though you don't agree with them.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. But yeah, of course I do. If people are, people are having fun and celebrating, and if I see people celebrating for the right reasons, I mean, I celebrated with friends, as I say, this year. Normally, I just stay out of the way and celebrate and do it alone. And I don't mean that in a really sad, tragic way with the shawl and 12 cats. I just mean, I stay out everywhere. But it was good fun this year. And my friends, not necessarily Christians, but they celebrate Christmas in the traditional sense of Christmas.
Right.
And I had a good time with them, and it was nice. I shared it with people I love and care for. And it was a nice time, and you just let it go, don't you? People celebrate in different ways, and that's cool. And I have Muslim friends, I have Catholic friends, I have Baptist friends, and I have Christian friends. So they celebrate different things at different times of year. So I just I smile and join in or not, as the case may be. And Jewish friends. Oh my God, Xander, what am I saying? I have Jewish friends.
How dare you forget the Jews? Jesus was a Jew. How can you forget the Jews? I'm a little bit greedy because I celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas, and there are a lot of people of the opinion that you have to pick one or another. Well, who says that? It's not the law. I can practice and believe and celebrate exactly what I want to practice and believe and celebrate. And thank God I live in a country where I'm allowed to do that, where we're not kind of like forced to conform by law to any certain religiosity or ideology.
Absolutely.
But I
had that
do
kind
of.
Sorry,
did you?
I had that conversation. Well, again with colleagues, talking about paganism and Christianity and the man they call Christ, and we're saying, well, if you look at the Bible, and obviously he disappeared. They talk about his birth, and then he doesn't really get talked about until he was 30. But I said, actually, if you read historical books and you read the Quran and you listen, sort of read the teachings of Buddha, etc., I don't buy in, as you know, I don't buy into that my belief system is different to yours. I don't buy into God and the Son of Man and the Son of God. But I certainly believe that he was a very spiritual man, and he clearly travelled around the world, and he came back home and said, you know what, this is not the way to treat each other. You should be better to each other. And get over yourselves, and that's what I believe he did. And he came back, and for those 4 years between the age of 30 and 34, that's what his teachings were, or his sharing was. And people, the people in power didn't like it, and it's happened a lot through history since with people who wanted to make things better. The other people disagreed, and they were taken care of. So I've always believed that. I've always shared that,
right.
And I'm always happy to share that. That he was a very spiritually enlightened man, and he wanted to share that message. He wanted to share that belief. So I'm always happy to discuss that with people. It's just when they get into miracles and raising the dead, and he wanted to love everybody, but in just my way.
Regardless of your religious ideology, how much of a better place would the world be if people just kind of took that, even just that little lesson on board about treating people differently and trying to make a difference? How different would the world be? How much better would the world actually be? In fact, I think that we should make that our show's mantra for 2015. We should be encouraging people to treat people better and actually make the world a better place by the things that they do.
Absolutely, instead of because we've been quite vitriolic about certain people over the year, haven't we? And I certainly have, and I'm not making any apologies for that. They've deserved it, in my opinion.
No,
but I suppose we should be saying, you know what, you can make you can make a difference yourselves. It shouldn't just be us shouting at you and saying, get off your bum. But I did realise today, I've been writing obviously, and I've been changing course in a few things. But I have wanted to say one of the things I was writing for somebody and said, it's not acceptable anymore to sit on your backside waiting for a saviour, because you're your own saviour. You're it. So
right.
Stop waiting around for somebody else to do it. And it occurred to me that I was maybe possibly talking to myself as well. So I've had a few little revelations of my own.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah. Let's not share with the audience that you've been sitting talking to yourself, Tyhe.
Well, I think I've already shared that with them, haven't I? But I talk to myself a lot.
Well, you get more sense from yourself than you do anybody else, surely. That's certainly my ideology. So let's take a look at 2014, Tyhe. Overall, do you think it was a good year for you, a bad year for you? What kind of energy did it give you?
Oh, no, it's been a good year for me, definitely. I do not have a lot to complain about. Obviously, I could always find something to complain about.
Right.
But no, it's been a great year for me. Obviously, finally Broken Flowers was born. So I have a new business partner, a new friend in that sense. My second book is underway. The record label is on its way. So, and my friends. I also harvested friends. I got rid of so-called friends in one sense and met new ones. Obviously, yours and our business ventures and friendship has grown in ways, different ways. So it's been a great year. It's been tiring.
Absolutely.
It's been exhausting. I'm ready. I'd like to lie down, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. But it's definitely been a good year. In between all the hardship and the sorrow of going around the world, there's been some good things as well. So, but my year cannot complain truly. Good.
So let's talk about some of the events of 2014 even. I'm skipping ahead. Now, one of the things that happened this year was, for those of us who are Whovians, fans of the TV show Doctor Who, the Doctor regenerated and Peter Capaldi took over as the new Doctor. And some people are it's taken them a while to get used to him. Now, when I spoke to you today, you were just watching the Christmas episode. Yeah. And now that you've actually watched it and digested it, tell me, do you think Peter Capaldi was a good choice? Was the Christmas episode as good as the Christmas episodes before? And are you jealous of the fact that Joe and I live in America and there's a 5-day Doctor Who marathon on?
Right, okay. Well, I am still struggling with Peter Capaldi as Doctor Who, although over the past few episodes at the end of it, I'd started to warm to him, and I started to get the sense of humour that he's brought to it, because he's been very dark, and I've started to warm to that. I've started to like the darkness he's brought to it, because also I keep forgetting that he's 2,000 years old, so there's this huge gap between Matt Smith's Doctor and his, because Matt Smith's Doctor's only 900 years old, isn't he? So, is that right? Have I got that right? Anyway, so there's a big gap. So obviously, I think what Peter Capaldi's trying to impress on us is that there's this 1,100-year gap in the life of Matt Smith's Doctor and his. So I suppose that's a bit of a pressure. But it's taken me this whole series to start to warm to him. Now, as far as this year's Christmas episode, I don't think it is as good as previous ones. But as you know, you called me today, and I put it on pause, so I hadn't seen the very end of it, and then I spoke, and then obviously we spoke, and I started it again, and I have to say I really did like the end of it, because it woke him up. You know, I like the idea. Oh right, if anybody's listening and they haven't seen it, now's the time to put your fingers in your ears, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's recorded it and hasn't yet watched it. But
spoilers, sweetie, spoilers.
Yeah, because I'm going to mention the end of it. But the idea that it gave him a wake-up call and he realised what he could have missed with her, and he genuinely went back for her. I loved that. I loved that. So I really enjoyed the end of it. So, but it was Stephen Moffat again that wrote it, wasn't it? So I liked that.
Kind of
the idea.
Hoping, go on, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say that the idea though of you guys, you and Joe, sat there watching 10 hours of it. No, I don't envy you at all. Thanks very much.
Well, I don't know. I could watch it all day, every day. I mean, there's some TV that I could watch all the time, but other things, you know, I could really kind of give them a miss. I mean, I'm really hoping against hope that it does get better. I mean, some people are very happy with it, but I think that I have very high standards for Doctor Who because of what we've had before with David Tennant and Matt Smith, and even Christopher Eccleston. You know, I think that the ideology of this Doctor being an older Doctor, it kind of doesn't wash with me because we want continuum, and we're not getting the continuum. You know, we're not getting the continuum from the point of where Matt Smith left, if you like.
But they did do that. But they've done that all the time with River Song, because she's come in and out of it all the time, because she's not married to Matt Smith. We're never sure, was she married to David Tennant's Doctor? He said no. Was she married to Matt Smith's Doctor? I mean, she's been all over the place with the diary, hasn't she? That, you know, that when she used to tell spoilers, sweetie. So she's been all over the place. So it's not unfeasible. It's not infeasible. Unfeasible. I've lost it. That the Doctor can't do that. He can't, you know. But it is a big jump, though, 1,100 years. But also because don't forget, he's looking for Gallifrey now as well. Gallifrey's out there in another universe. So yeah, it's just that's okay. But it was just I've just found it difficult to warm to him. He's very cold. And Matt Smith was, you know, but Matt Smith's been my favourite of the new Doctors. So it's unfair, I suppose. I'm maybe being a little unfair. But Clara needs to go as well, to be honest, for me. She's a bit... But then she had huge boots to fill as well, because Pond was amazing.
Yeah, I think that whoever came along after Pond, even if Donna Noble came back, or even if River Song came back like full-time, they would have kind of like big boots to fill. You know, I really do.
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, as we discussed earlier, you know, before the show, ultimately, Rose was the big clincher for it, though. I mean, she opened it all up again for everybody else, you know, and then, you know, it was tragic that we lost Elizabeth Sladen, because over here, I mean, you guys are all just kind of rediscovering it again, but Elizabeth Sladen was one of the most beloved companions ever in Doctor Who. She played Sarah Jane Smith, for people who don't maybe
Definitely.
recognise her name. She was really the first companion who kicked ass. You know, she wasn't a sidekick. She wasn't a screechy little girl. I mean, she kicked ass. And she was absolutely loved here.
And there was also a sub-series, wasn't there? The Sarah Jane Mysteries.
Yeah, Sarah Jane Adventures, but that was children's TV, really. Although it was a bit scary, Sarah Jane Adventures. So, so she was loved here as well. But Billy Piper and Christopher Eccleston are the two that brought it back to everybody. I mean, they had the hardest job because they had to make him kosher again. They had to make him relevant again.
Right.
And they did an amazing job, you know. And obviously Billy Piper stayed for a couple more series.
Because I don't think that if it had not worked with the first New Doctor, I don't think that it would have been as successful. Because 2005 was when it came back, so it's been back nearly 10 years. And how many shows have that resolve of 10 years? I mean, there are not a lot nowadays, are there?
No, Doctor Who is officially the longest-running sci-fi series ever.
Wow.
Ever. Because it's 30 years. It's over 30 years that Doctor... I know it's had it stopped and it's come back, but it's 35 years Doctor Who has run. And it's the longest-running TV sci-fi series ever, including Star Trek. It's the longest one. So, you know, in its entirety, it's trashed everything else. So, but this is definitely,
So do you think, out of respect to the thing, we need to give Peter Capaldi more time?
Yeah, I do, because, I mean, in this series, as I say, I've started to warm to him, but it's taken a long time, because he's had such big shoes to fill, I think, to be honest, because Matt Smith did such a sensational job. But he had huge boots to fill as well. You know, David Tennant.
I actually vowed, after David Tennant, I vowed I wasn't going to watch it anymore, and I watched one episode, and I was in love. It was great again, you know. Yeah. Because I didn't think anybody would be able to do it and pull it off after David Tennant, because we'd had him for a few years, hadn't we even? Yeah.
Oh, David Tennant was 4 series, wasn't he? I think 4 series. And Matt Smith was 4 series, if I'm not mistaken.
It didn't seem like that with Matt Smith, or did it? It didn't seem like Matt Smith was the Doctor as long as David Tennant.
But it was. I'm sure it was 4 series. I'm looking at my collection at the other end of my living room because, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, yes, I have all the Blu-ray series, except the last series, actually. I haven't bought yet. But yeah, so Matt Smith, you know, did a sensational job. So, and Peter Capaldi, a very intense actor, obviously, you see that about his performance, and that's what he's chosen to go. That's the route he's chosen to go down, and I don't think that was a mistake. But Matt Smith can be very serious and intense, but he also went down the comedy line, and Peter Capaldi has chosen not to do that. Peter Capaldi has chosen to stay intense and dark.
He's much more serious, isn't he?
Yeah. But so was John Pertwee. I mean, any Whovians out there, you know, real Whovians will have seen the old series. You know, Tom Baker was very much a clown. He could be intense, but he's very much a clown. John Pertwee wasn't. John Pertwee was very intense. He was a dandy. You know, he was a very, you know, he's had the velvet jacket and the kind of swashbuckling sleeves. But he was very intense. He was very almost Shakespearean actor. And he went down that route. So Capaldi has chosen to do that, and I think it's just taking us time to adjust to that a little longer than I thought it would take me. But no, I'm not writing him off yet because he's a brilliant actor.
I don't doubt. I mean, he's brilliant in other things, but I don't know. I hope that connection becomes stronger for me. And from the new Doctor Who to a crazy phenomenon of 2014, which was the Ice Bucket Challenge. Millions of people, including Bill Gates and George Bush, videoed themselves partaking in the challenge, and I wonder how many actually donated to ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. You didn't do it, did you, or did you?
I didn't get to do my challenge, but we were donating money to different things. So we were donating money over here to cancer research a lot of the time.
Right.
So we tended to be donating money to charities that mattered to us. and I'd lost a few friends to cancer over the past 3 years. So the money was going to cancer. So I donated money, but I didn't get a chance to do my bucket challenge because the day I was supposed to do it, it's a long story, but the day I was supposed to do it, people weren't actually available to help me do it. So I didn't. So it's not a cop out. I genuinely couldn't do it. So I just donated money.
I
said just donated, but
I didn't do it because actually I thought it was really ridiculous. I would rather just donate money to charity. But I think that a lot of people kind of lost the ideology of it because obviously it was about raising money. But I think it was kind of an odd, Joe was just saying as well in the chat room that it's an odd thing to dump ice cold water on your head, in order to raise money for charity. But hey, I've done some weird things for charity. Some I don't even want to share. But it seems a very odd way to raise money.
Well, I suppose it was just. I suppose it was fun as well. But isn't it about the point of being that freezing cold and experiencing that kind of unpleasantness? But I mean, it's talking about, darling. We've hosted 12-hour, 14-hour charity events. So I'd rather throw ice over my head, frankly, than do that again. Thanks.
I've kissed ugly men for £50 before for donations on charity days. So I can't. Come on, don't tell me you haven't done it.
I've done that under the influence of alcohol for free, darling. So
Yeah, it's better if you get a donation. At least you can write it off for tax purposes.
It depends what they're donating, frankly. But what can I tell you?
I wonder what 2015's trend will be to raise money, because they always come up with these crazy things. That maybe we should do a sponsored listen to old episodes of Xandermonium or something like that. It's not wacky enough. You would have to do it naked, with your feet
right
in
now.
custard.
Naked with your feet
eating
in
a bowl
custard.
of fish fingers.
No, oh God, no, we're back to the Doctor Who thing. Whilst watching an omnibus of Doctor, I couldn't hack it.
That's where it came from. But I do wonder what the next phenomenon is going to be. Now let's talk a little bit about. Go on.
No, me. I'm going to be the next phenomenon. I've decided.
Right. Yeah, but you would have to raise money in order to be in that ilk of a phenomenon, as it were.
That's okay. I'll just raise it to me.
Okay. So the Oscars this year was very interesting, hosted again by James Franco. Now, John Travolta couldn't pronounce Idina Menzel, which started an internet trend of people having their John Travolta names. Ellen DeGeneres did a selfie that became the most retweeted photo of all time. 12 years as a slave actor Lupita Nyong'o moved everyone to tears with her Oscar speech about race, and Laverne Cox went down in history as the first transgendered person to be nominated for an Emmy. So which of all those things do you think were most profound?
Well, for me, it's got to be transgender, hasn't it? That people have, finally broken through those boundaries and borders and got over themselves and accepted, that the world is full of fabulous and diverse people. And just James Franco, I'm quite happy to see James Franco wherever he is, Frank. So, to be perfectly honest, so I've got hi James. But yeah, that's got to be the biggie for me.
She's really used that as a platform, thankfully. I mean, she a lot of people would have just kind of like gone on with it, but she's really used her fame to highlight transgender issues, and good on her,
Well, absolutely, and it's a good, and it can't get a better platform, I suppose, as far as media is concerned, really. But yeah, I mean that's got to be the. I'm sorry, I'm reading what Joe's saying as well, and I can't multitask, Joe. You've got to write in bigger writing. She's asking, was Franco the host? What?
Apparently, in the research that I did, he was the host.
Okay. So John Travolta was the host last year in 2013.
No, John
No,
Travolta wasn't a host. He just gave out an award.
Oh no, it just got
and
the name wrong. Yeah, but Ellen was the host.
Adele Nazim, he called her. Please give it up for Adele Nazim. But I think he got a lot of stick about it. What was your John Travolta name, Ty?
My John Travolta name. Oh, what is it? My name? And nobody can ever get. Well, nobody. I don't use my real name, as you know, because nobody can ever get. No. Well, everybody pronounces my name properly about twice, and then I end up as Shay. So because my name's Tyhe, but nobody ever gets it right. So God only knows what my John Travolta name will be. Egar. No, I'm sorry. Well, God only.
Cheggers plays pop.
It's anybody's guess. Cheggers plays pop. Yeah, Cheggers. God. Is he still alive? It was Ellen that hosted. Joey's saying it was Ellen that hosted.
Oh, was it?
Not Franco.
So my research was wrong. Apologies for that. Now, building on the transgender / LGBT thing, let's piss the straights off a little bit now. Gay marriage became legal. I was going to say illegal then in more than 18 states, and more to come next year, thanks to SCOTUS. Now, do you think too much of a big deal has been made about gay marriage?
Well, only by straight people, you know. I mean, this idea that we're gonna ruin marriage. By the looks of things, straight people did that many, many decades ago. So really, you've only got yourself to blame, folks. It's absurd to say, oh well, we're back to pagans, by the way. Can I just point out, lovely Mr. and Mrs. Christian, when you start claiming that it's an affront to God, well, marriage is pagan. You stole that from us as well as many other things that you stole. Well, you stole everything back. I mean, you don't have an original bone in your bodies. But and I'm not going to be nice about that. I'm sorry, because yet again, you're claiming that we're going to ruin something in the eyes of God, and it didn't come from you. It came from pagans. The Romans were the people that started marriage ceremonies, and that's why the ring goes on the finger that it goes on, because actually at the time, obviously incorrectly, they believed that the venal artery went from that finger into the heart. So that's why they put the ring there. It was a symbol of love and sacred covering the heart. So there you go, folks. So it's got nothing to do with God originally. So get it up, yeah. But anyway, so yes, it's absolute nonsense that we're going to ruin marriage or the institution of marriage, and that's maybe where you go wrong, folks. Thinking of it as an institution, I always thought that's where you put people who were mentally deficient, or as you like to call it, or dangerous, So if you think of something
Absolutely.
that you supposedly consider sacred as popping in as an institute, it's where you're going wrong, folks. Gay people getting married is no different from straight people getting married, although hopefully we'll endeavour to make it last a bit longer. So it's just been absolute bullshit. There you go. Sorry, that's my last swear word of the day, but it really has. And
there you go. That's what we could sponsor you not to swear. That it could be the TP Egar non-swearathon for 2015.
Okay. It may not last long, but I'll give it a go. But it has. It really.
I absolutely agree with you.
I just want to point out as well, by the way, yay Scotland. I'll just finish with this, Xander, sorry. Yay Scotland, because in the UK, Scotland were the only country that said, we are not making any amendments to this bill. Equal rights mean equal rights. So when gay people get married in Scotland, the law protects them and gives them exactly the same rights as straight people. Because in the UK, in England, they made amendments to it, because they were a bit worried about upsetting people. So yay Scotland.
So ridiculous. Xander, so ridiculous. I know. I was just going to say that I think that over the next year or two, that most states are going to become open to gay marriage, to same-sex marriage. And I know the ones that have overturned it, SCOTUS, that's the Supreme Court of the United States, has come along and said, you can't do that. That's unconstitutional. So I'm glad in a way. I don't agree with forcing churches to marry two people that don't attend. That's a different thing. But I think anybody should be able to go along to their town hall in the United States and get the same rights from that piece of paper that heterosexuals get. And for me, to not allow that is definitely a discriminatory practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always said from day one, you know, the argument that people say we shouldn't have to force people. I do not want to force anybody to get married, have to marry people. If you think it's wrong, fine, good. Because why would I want to? Again, you know, we've said this about other things. Why would I want somebody to marry me who hates me or thinks it's wrong? I don't want that either.
Exactly.
And also, in the church now, you can't, you know, a priest can refuse to marry a straight couple if they think there's something wrong and they don't agree with that particular marriage. So I don't want anybody forced to marry anybody. That's just ridiculous. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't want that to happen either.
And staying with the theme of marriage, this year George Clooney married his love, Amal Yudin, renowned human rights lawyer. You know, apparently everybody thought he was like, you know, going to be a bachelor for life. I mean, I'm not one of these people that thinks he's, you know, really gorgeous, so it's not a great loss for me. But I know some people, I know for some people they were like, you know, do you know what I mean? Some people were kind of, some people kind of felt a great loss at the fact that he'd got married.
Well, I didn't. I actually said on the show ages ago, so I'll say it again. This is not Xandermonium's opinion. It's just mine. I said he's gay. So yeah, there you go. I'm not buying it for a second. But whatever.
I told you he's not gay, but his boyfriend is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not buying it for a second. But I don't give a damn either. You know, whatever. He's too old for me to care now. I mean, by the time he stood up, I'm sure I'd forgotten why. But I've never been a fan. I've never been a particular fan of his movies. I can't tell you the last one of his movies I watched that I enjoyed. Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn, probably, maybe, but I find that quite a tedious movie, to be honest. But probably, yeah. So I could care less. You know, good.
I thought that you'd really like that movie, though, Ty, because there's a lot of sucking in it, isn't there? With there being vampires.
But I like vampire movies. You're quite right. I'm going to ignore the double entendre there. Thank you. I do love vampires.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm a vampire, not a zombie man. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a vampire man. People are always shocked when I don't watch Twilight or whatever. You know, they're like, "You don't watch it?" Yes, let me hand in my fag badge. I don't watch any of the vampire movies. So moving swiftly on, because we've got so many subjects to talk about today. The Olympics occurred this year in Sochi, Russia, much to the dismay of the LGBTQI, ABDCDEFGMARI community. Even after a myriad of protests and petitions, the charade still went ahead, and I wonder how long people actually boycotted its sponsors for. Athlete Gus Kenworthy adopted some of the stray dogs that they found in the city of Sochi. Now, you've got some information on something good that came out of all of this, haven't you?
Well, I have, and we did mention it on the show a little while. It's not that long ago, actually, Xander. We did mention it, and it is on Broken Flowers website, and I think you linked it as well, to an organisation called All Out, and Andre and Jeremy do a huge amount of campaigning, and we did mention it. They managed to change some of the wording of the literature for the Olympic legislation, so that now the Olympics cannot be held, the Olympic governing body upheld this, they cannot be held in any country that has laws or laws will do one if for now, upholding any kind of action or harm towards the gay community in an extreme manner. So, for example, if another country behaves the way towards the gay community that Sochi does, the Olympics cannot be held in that country. And which is a fantastic thing, because when Sochi was going on, for a start, Olympians cannot speak out politically. That's actually a clause. I think it's I can't remember now whether it's 162B of the Olympic Charter. Anyway, Olympic athletes, if they speak out, are instantly excluded from the Olympics. So they couldn't. It didn't matter what happened. They couldn't. I mean, as you and I said, they should have boycotted it full stop. But that didn't happen. But they can't speak out politically.
This is a good thing that's come out of it, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was campaigning. I mean, we campaigned on the show. I was campaigning over here through Andre and Jeremy All Out. And obviously, we've invited them always to keep the show updated, and I keep the website updated. So this is a huge thing. Yeah, it was a great thing that's happened because it's made the Olympic authorities pay attention as well, because they were keeping their heads down. They were saying nothing and doing nothing about it, and they were happily chuntering on, and letting, just the way Coca-Cola and McDonald's were doing. And I'm happy to mention them on the show, not to boost them, but just to let everybody know who's listening that they were the outrageous companies that were sponsoring it in the same time as trying to have us believe that they also support the gay community, which is absolute BS.
Yeah, because you can't have it both ways.
No, and also Coca-Cola, their new campaign at the time, they were showing themselves as pro-gay marriage, but only the commercial only showed the two guys getting married in countries that were pro-gay marriage. Any country that was not pro-gay marriage, they edited that piece of the commercial out of. So their hypocrisy was absolutely, I mean, it knew no bounds. It was disgraceful. So that's the only reason I mentioned them on the show, just to have a go at them. But so that was a huge piece of legislation that came out of that. So that was fantastic.
Absolutely. Good on them for keeping this going and making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as people boycotting the products, I doubt anybody did. Sadly, I doubt anybody.
I mean, here
did.
Target donated money to this anti-gay politician who was very outspoken, and for 5 minutes people boycotted Target, and I mean, even I shop there again because people stopped. It's kind of like, what's the point in being the only one to boycott something,
Well, it gets to a point, I suppose, you become demoralised about it. So all I do is now anybody mentions, I actually take any opportunity to bring all this stuff up with people. And if I hear, but I do, I mean, as far as the gay community, if I hear anybody say anything detrimental about the campaigns that we've been on, then I will shoot them down where they stand.
Absolutely. So let's kind of come back a bit closer to home for you, as you live in Scotland. Scotland had a referendum this year and decided against independence. Now, what's the feeling about the result of the referendum? Are people still pissed about it, or?
Well, no. To be honest, obviously a lot of us were devastated, to be honest, that Scotland had decided no, but the majority said no. So you've got to move on. That's the whole point of democracy, and that's what we wanted. So you've got to agree with that. You've got to move forward. But what it has done, it has stirred so much up in, I think, a positive manner in Scotland, because for a start, our Labour and Conservative politicians here, which are, obviously the Democrat and the my head's just emptied. The
Republican.
Democrat and the Republican version here don't really stand much of a chance in Scotland anymore. We have the SNP here, which is the Scottish National Party, who I think and hope are very likely to gain power in Scotland now, because even though Scotland has said no, we to independence, very much they have very much stood up and said, however, we want a lot more say and a lot more power as to what goes on in Scotland. We are not prepared to have Westminster any more controllers. We want these powers. So even, and also what Westminster realises, if they don't give us the powers they promise, they'll just call another referendum and Scotland will say yes. So, so in a lot of ways, it's been a hugely positive thing. So even though we didn't say yes to independence, we've said, however, you are not getting your own way, England. So it's been a great, so it has, in that sense, it's been a great positive thing. So,
brilliant.
But ultimately democracy's spoken. So you at the end of the day, you can't argue with that.
So also this year we had a new Pope, Pope Francis, and he continued to shock the world as the most liberal pope in decades. He officially endorsed evolution and the Big Bang Theory, married couples who had been living together in sin, and fostered a more inclusive perspective on gays in the church. Now, I think that this guy is a breath of fresh air, and I think that the church, the Catholic Church, was on the way to failure with its kind of like Dickensian doctrine. What do you think?
Well, that's exactly what I think, and I'm sorry, nobody in the next lifetime is going to change my mind. I think this is purely why he's done it all, because they were dying on their backside, and
Right.
they had to do something to turn that around, because people, particularly young people, you know, as much darkness as is on the internet, there is light on the internet, and young people have been able to educate themselves. They've stepped away from the nonsense that is the Catholic Church. They've educated themselves and realised that what they're being told is rubbish, and the Church has realised it's losing its hold on people constantly. People are turning away from it constantly, and they've said, we need to do something about this. So he's started to say, well, you know, we'll back down on this, we'll back down on this isn't bad. You know, and the idea of saying, well, yeah, okay, we'll agree with the Big Bang, it's a nonsense to say not, because science has proved it. I mean, beyond the shadow of, I mean, really, what's the next argument? So I'm still a skeptic, and always will be as far as the Catholic Church is concerned. I will never trust them, and I simply think he's done all this because he has no choice.
Well, I would hope that it's for much purer reasons. I mean, you could be right, but who cares as long as it's changing for the better?
Well, because I don't think it is changing for the better. That's the point, Xander. I don't believe it. I don't think it's earnest. I don't think it's sincere. I think it's just words. And also, I'll tell you when I'll believe it, when every single one of those paedophiles is behind bars, not apologising. Where are they? Where are all these paedophiles that call themselves priests?
They've been sent to different parishes, clearly. That's what they did.
Yeah, exactly.
They found them. They found them. You know, they exercised their own justice, basically. And they just sent them off to other parishes. And that wasn't really the way forward. But I do hope there is some sincerity, and time will tell, basically.
It will, and I know I was going to be very positive in the show, and I was going to be upbeat. Yay!
Yeah.
But
moving swiftly on, let's talk about the Nobel Peace Prize, which was won this year by Malala Yousafzai, who is 17, and she's the youngest recipient ever. I was quite impressed that they gave that to her. But I was kind of concerned that she gave half the money to Palestine for them to educate girls, and the money was used by what are they called? Hamas, to build tunnels.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Well, money was given in order to make Palestine a better place. People gave to charity, but she gave I don't know how much the prize was, but she gave half of the price to Palestine, and the money was stolen and used to build a system of tunnels under Israel.
All right. How was it stolen?
Because Hamas
Who
took
stole it?
Hamas.
All right. Okay. So this is all again, government's not doing anything, isn't it? And
exactly.
We don't lay pressure on governments, do we? We just blame charities, or we just throw more money at them. And this, as you know, is always my argument against charities. And these people, so-called, who are allowed to run them. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Why are we throwing money at walls? No, it's the governments that do this. Of course, on the other hand, Xander, as you know, maybe what we should be doing is calling Annie Lennox. Who knows? You know.
Yes, exactly. Because she seems to be a bit of an authority on the subject right now. But I'm not going to get negative. I'm just going to let it go, which is a great segue into my next part of 2014. Frozen became the highest-grossing animated movie, and everyone is singing "Let It Go," and I'm sick of frickin' hearing it. What about you? Has it been a phenomenon in the UK too? Is everybody singing it there? How many people do you want to shoot that keep singing "Let It Go, Let It Go"?
Well, you're getting on the list rapidly, but I haven't seen the movie still.
Me either.
And I have no current intention of seeing it either. But yeah, it's over here. Didn't the director was apologising to people? You know, they're trying to still buy the outfits for it. So yeah, it's still going nuts. But I've not got a slight interest in it.
Me either.
I just don't get it. But all I remember is that laughable thing when a friend of mine said, "Oh yeah, wasn't it the Christian Society or somebody was saying it was gay, it was turning people gay or something."
Oh yeah, they were saying that it was preaching a lesbian ideology, because it was saying that women didn't necessarily meet a man. Well, there are straight women that don't necessarily meet a man, but it doesn't mean that it's promoting. I was going to say lesbianics. It's not promoting that people should become lesbians. I mean, where do these people get these ideologies? You know.
I don't know. Maybe we started it secretly. That may be it, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe Xander and I started that rumour just to boost our lesbian audience.
Absolutely.
Ellen, if you're listening, it was us.
Yes, we're trying to secretly turn you all gay if you're listening to this show. By the end of the show, if you listen to the end, you will be homosexual.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on. Staying with music, Michael Jackson moonwalked once again this year via hologram at the Billboard Music Awards. Now, a lot of people were not very happy about that, especially the family, because they'd not been advised that it was going to happen. But I think the record company owned the footage, but the family weren't happy that he was involved, you know.
Well, oh God, I mean, Michael Jackson, I'm sorry, for start, I mean, I'm a huge fan of musicians, but this, I mean, it was always, I never really got it. I think he should just be allowed to rest now, shouldn't he? I mean, his children are already, you know, I mean, look, his daughter, God love her, tried to take her own life. They clearly didn't have a great upbringing. His mother, you know what? I'm actually going to be careful what I say here, because we can't afford it, because she will come looking for us, because all she cares about is money, in my humble opinion. Actually, that's a lie.
Allegedly, if you say allegedly, no one can sue you for anything. So I could say,
allegedly.
Tyhe Paul Egar has a different man in his bed every night, allegedly, and you couldn't sue me for that.
I wouldn't want to sue you. I'd encourage you. Anyway, but we were working out that the other day. You know, I've been single officially for 14 years. How tragic is that? Anyway,
wow.
But so yeah, I mean, the idea of just keep resurrecting him in the hope that somebody is going to earn money from it, because it's not going to be him, is it? It's just all a bit sad.
Definitely not.
For me. But that phenomenon, I suppose he was, what is he, the Black Elvis, as people called him that in the past? I don't know. But or the not so Black Elvis, who knows? What colour was he when he died? But I can't be bothered, to be honest. It's just that, oh well, there you go. And I'm sure they'll have him moonwalking again somewhere. Or I mean, because the last War of the Worlds tour, they had Richard Burton talking again, so why not? But I think it's just a shame that we should, you know, sometimes you've just got to let people rest, haven't you? I mean,
absolutely.
At what point does it become tasteless? I don't know.
Absolutely. So this year, after 8 years of construction, the Freedom Tower was finally opened in NYC on the site of the World Trade Center. And unfortunately, I haven't been yet. Now, everybody I know that lives in different countries is like, Xander, have you been to the Freedom Tower yet? And actually, I haven't been. I just haven't had the time. But I would like to go. Is it something that you would like to visit, do you think, when you come here?
Yeah, I would. And I think it's really important, particularly after everything that's been happening over the past few years. You know, terrorism just seems to be getting worse and worse, particularly domestic terrorism. It's really scary. I know it is over you guys, and it is here.
Absolutely.
It's getting really frightening. So I think something like that becomes more and more important every day, actually. And I think it's a reminder of the strength of people, because I think there are heroes walking around the streets.
I do too.
Every day, and so it would be certainly something that I would want to visit, and simply just visit that space really, and recognise the people that were lost to it.
I went. There was a memorial at Battery Park, and I went like a few years ago, and I couldn't go again because there was just such sadness around it. People were standing and crying that it made me cry too, and I couldn't go again because it was very distressing. But I think there's more of a positive message with this Freedom Tower. It's like, you can break down our buildings, but you cannot break our spirit. New Yorkers are predominantly strong, and they stand together in times of crisis. And I think this is kind of like a tribute to that, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's certainly the feeling. I mean, Scottish people's. I'm not going to go into it now, but we've recent tragedy here, and we had a tragedy last year, as you know. But Glasgow certainly and Scotland are very much a people of the same ilk, and I think it's very, very important, and more important all the time.
Absolutely.
So it should be a place that people can go and celebrate and remember the people they lost with love rather than in fear and
quite right.
And in misery,
and on behalf of
yeah.
And on behalf of the show, we send our condolences and best wishes to the people of Glasgow. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you.
Absolutely, thank you.
So let's talk a bit about some of the. Well, I've got a list of people who died in 2014. Obviously, some of them we can have a chat about, and others we can just move on. Maya Angelou died in May. Richard Attenborough died in August. Lauren Bacall. Now that was. I mean, she was pretty old, Lauren Bacall, but I think that was very sad. She was. Can't think of anybody that hadn't heard of Lauren Bacall.
Well,
a couple of names that I've gone. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, but huge. I mean, a huge gay icon as well, wasn't she? So it's not really surprising.
Absolutely. I'm skipping down the list because some that I've never heard of. Actress Ruby Dee. She was in The Stand. Have you seen The Stand?
What, as in Stephen King's The Stand?
Yeah.
All right. Who did she play?
I'm not sure.
Because it's a while since. Sorry, I threw that at you. It's a while since I've seen it, and to be honest, I would have to really.
She was a black actress. She was very good. She's been in a lot of things.
Oh yes, right. Right. Okay. I thought it might be her, and then I didn't want to say. Yeah, it's right. So Joe's saying she was Graham. Right. Okay. So she was. Yes. Okay. She was. I'm trying to think of her name now. She wasn't.
I can't remember who she played. Then we lost. Sorry, go ahead.
No, she played the black lady who everybody went to. She was the good good side to the demon side. I'm trying to remember the character's name.
She was like the oracle of that movie, wasn't she?
Yes. Yeah.
Then we lost James Garner in July. Peaches Geldof. Now, a lot of people had lots of opinions on her death because she died of a drug overdose. But I still think it's sad. And because she died in the same way her mother died. Her mother died of a drug overdose. Wasn't it her who found her?
I honestly can't remember now off the top of my head, but it's just a tragic family, basically.
Absolutely.
And at the moment, I'm not going to say too much because at the moment I am seriously angry at her father about something else. Anyway, I mean, about the reissue of this charity record because he thinks people should help with the Ebola crisis, and he's one of the biggest bloody tax dodgers around.
Wow.
And if frankly, you talentless guess if you want to do something, stick a hazmat suit on. But
exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, it's very, very tragic. The women in that family think it's very tragic. Obviously, the mother and the daughter have gone the same way. and it's a huge shame.
So we also lost actors Philip Seymour Hoffman and Bob Hoskins. Bob Hoskins obviously being the British actor who was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The author P.D. James.
Cher,
what?
And he was in Mermaids with Cher.
Yes, absolutely.
Mona Lisa.
The author P.D. James. The TV presenter, TV and radio presenter Casey Kasem, Mike Nichols, the filmmaker, Fred Phelps Sr. moving swiftly on. I wonder if the Westboro Bastard Church blamed his death on gay marriage in America. I wonder if that was why he died.
Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yes, we gave him a kiss.
Absolutely. Actor Harold Ramis from the Ghostbusters movies. Joan Rivers, that was in September. I'm still kind of a bit sore about that. That was very unnecessary.
Absolutely. She was stolen from us, definitely.
She could have gone on another decade or two. I actually thought she was stolen from us. You're absolutely right. Mickey Rooney, the actor, Ariel Sharon, who was one of the previous prime ministers of Israel, Shirley Temple, and last but not least, Robin Williams. That was another big shock, and I think people, I don't know what, even though you've never met someone, you know, when some people are famous and they've been in your house every week for most of your life, it's kind of, it makes it very sad. But what I have to say about this is I've been really touched by the fact that Margaret Cho has been raising money for homeless people in San Diego, where she lives, and that's where Robin was from, with this thing that's kind of like a tribute to him too, called Be Robin. And it's really about being the change, and they've raised thousands of dollars in the past few weeks. So good on you, Margaret Cho. You know, she said that the reason she'd done it was that people kept saying that they missed Robin, and some other comedian had said, "Don't miss Robin, be Robin. Do something to honor his life, as it were." Yeah. And that's what she's been doing, and I think that's very commendable. So we're sending you our
Absolutely.
best. Margaret Cho, you are a doyen, and I really kind of, I don't know, I just feel, you know, I've never met Margaret Cho. I don't really know her from Adam, but she follows me on Facebook and Twitter. She DMs me and things like that. And how many celebrities do you know actually do that kind of thing? I love this woman. You know, she's amazing. So,
well, that's a great thing to do. Can I just point out, right, I've got to say this because Joe, bless her, has definitely gone and Googled. The lady who died, who was in the stand, her name in the stand was Mother Abigail. Thank you, Joe.
Brilliant.
Not
Thank
that you're
you, Joe.
being polite. And not to take away from that with Robin and Margaret Cho. I also, though, I would like to think all around the world as well, this is going to raise, being bipolar myself, I'd like to think this is going to raise, genuinely, we're going to start educating people about mental illness. Because it was such a tragic loss, and it's not going to be the last, and it wasn't the first. And everybody sits and says, "Oh, it was such a shock, and we don't understand why." Well, you don't understand why because you don't understand mental health, you know, and we don't understand mental health because because education is really poor, and it needs to be much, much better, and we need to be able to recognize it. And I'm not saying for one second anybody should have been able to recognize Robin Williams' symptoms. He was a very complex man. He was a comedian, and very, very clearly, very, very good at hiding his real emotions. Ben Stiller was on the Graham Norton show this week with a couple of his colleagues, you know, because The Night at the Museum, it seems, was Robin Williams' last movie. And that's now just been released, and they were saying how fabulous he was on set and how caring and how warm he was, and they clearly had no clue. So I'm not suggesting for one moment that anybody should have known that should have spotted anything in Robin Williams, but but we need to understand mental health much better than we do, and maybe some of these tragedies we can prevent. So, let's hope, please, somebody somewhere, start putting money into educating people about mental illness.
Absolutely, because I think it's an imperative to actually remove the stigma somewhat. And this is why I'm always open and honest about my mental health issues, about the fact that I've suffered with depression and still do from time to time. Because when you lie about it, when you hide it, nothing changes, And so many famous people, including myself, because I'm really famous, Tyhe, are actually coming forward and saying, look, I've suffered with mental illness. I've suffered with depression. I've suffered with this, that, and the other. And I think that really does make a difference because it does destigmatize it. Glenn Close openly. Her sister, isn't her sister bipolar?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's her sister that's bipolar.
There are bipolar affective disorder and schizophrenia are both psychotic illnesses, obviously. But and I find a lot of the time when you're talking about these things and people have conversations with me, and I find myself halfway through them saying, I need to stop. You do realise that I'm bipolar. I have a mental illness, and I'm not going to apologise to you for that. Because people almost expect you to apologise for it, and
nor should you.
Like, that's,
no, why should Why should we apologize or hide? I think the imperative is to actually educate people. That's how things are going to change,
Yeah, and it is. And Joe's saying that you never heard that, but some of it, sometimes, it's not always, but parts of bipolar disorder can be early onset dementia and heart failure. But which I found out a few years ago and thought, oh, fantastic! That sounds like fun. But if you think about it, your system is moving at a much higher rate. And when we're in hypomanic states, which I'm not anymore, thankfully, because I'm medicated, but I can still get hyper. I can still get manic, sorry, but I'm not in a hypomanic state anymore. But you can do a lot of damage. You party a lot. You get hyper a lot. You don't sleep. Your brain's in a different cycle to most other people's. And so, and your body's hyper a lot more. So your system's moving in a different vibe to other people. So that a lot of other illness can move that way with you. And
Absolutely.
You change back. Your medication brings different fun with it as well. So there's a lot of things out there. But this is why people need educating as well about it, and need to understand how moods are affected. And of course, with bipolar, everybody just sees the party animal. Which isn't a party animal, obviously. It's an illness. You're hypomanic. But what they don't see is the depressive side, because when you're depressed, who goes partying when they're depressed? You hide away. And that's obviously the dangerous side as well, which
exactly.
is the side that is the side
and
that
we will
is capable of harm.
For sure, we will be doing some more segments on mental health related issues in 2015 because it's a subject that's both close to both of our hearts, and we think it's imperative to educate people and to destigmatize the issues. So what we're going to do now, Tyhe, is to close on. We're going to play a game. It's a bit like Marry, F, or Kill. But what we're going to look at is who came out in 2014. So I'm going to say a name and who they are and what we know them from. And I want you to say surprised, not surprised, or who cares. So it's simple. You say surprised, not surprised, or who cares. Right, Raven Simone, actress from The Cosby Show.
Who cares?
All right, Daniel Franzese, actor from Looking and Mean Girls.
Surprised.
Andrea Pajic, supermodel.
Who cares?
Billy Gilman, country singer.
Who cares? I don't know who that is, sorry.
Samira Wiley, actress, Orange is the New Black.
Surprised. I suppose I've got to say that eventually, haven't I?
Derek Gordon, NCAA basketball player. I know you're a big fan of basketball, Tyhe.
Well, I know, yeah, but surprised. I'm going to say surprised about these guys because that's quite a big deal, isn't it? That's brave.
It is. Definitely. All right. Ty Hemden, country singer.
Well, good for them. Surprise. Is that? Can I say what were the options? Surprise, who cares, or what?
Surprised, not surprised, or who cares?
All right. Well, surprise then. Good. Actually, another country and western. Hats off to them because this is a big deal, isn't it?
But it'd have to be like a Stetson, wouldn't it? The hat.
Yeah. Well,
that you
do you
were
know what I
going
mean?
to take off.
And I love it. And
all right.
Frankly, I love a cowboy.
We've heard. All right. Christian Nairn, actor from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know. This is really shallow, and I've told everybody before. So who cares?
Ian Thorpe, Olympic swimmer.
Surprised, as in good for you. Again, really, really brave.
Tyler Glenn, lead singer of the Neon Trees.
No clue who he is. Who cares?
Ellen Page, actress, X-Men, Days of Future Past, and what was that big thing she was in?
I
no.
don't know who she is, but again,
where she had a baby, and in the movie she had a baby and she gave it up for adoption.
Christ, that could be many of them, couldn't it? But do you know what? I'm sorry, but as far as actors and musicians, not really a chore to come out, is it? So who cares?
No. All right, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple.
Who cares?
Michael Sam, NFL football player.
Surprised again, kudos.
All right, Xander Gibb, radio and TV personality.
Surprised.
I know. I thought you'd be shocked, Ty. All right, and finally, this is hilarious. This one, Sam Smith, pop singer. I think that's the guy who sounds like he should actually be singing karaoke.
Yeah, I know who he is. Well, he's won loads of awards over here and is hailed as a fantastic singer.
For what? What has he won awards for, please?
Oh, because he's hailed as an amazing singer here. His voice goes through me. But yes, he's come out as having a boyfriend. But to be perfectly honest, it's who cares and not surprised because he's as camp as a Christmas tree. And if he'd ever turned around and tried to say he was straight, people would have actually been hospitalised laughing. So,
right.
Yeah. But again,
I was more surprised that he was categorized as a singer, to be honest. But there you go. I was more surprised at that than the fact that he's gay.
His voice is all. I mean, he's got a unique voice. But I mean, again, he's a successful musician. Who cares?
He's got a unique voice. That was what they used to say when he thought they were crap. He has quite a unique voice. So if you're listening, Sam Smith, you have a unique voice. Joe is saying in the chat room, which I think is amazingly accurate, shouldn't they all be who cares, really? Orientation, is that what you call it, shouldn't matter. I totally agree, Joe. I just wanted to end on something a bit funny for today. So, Ty, it's been a great year for Xandermonium, and we're moving on to bigger and better things in 2015, things we can't talk about right now.
Yeah.
But who's been your favorite guest, as if I can't guess?
Oh, you know what I'm going to say? Obviously, yeah, the fabulous Colton Ford, and he's still one of my favourite musicians. And he's got his new EP out. We're having him on the show soon, I think, aren't we? To talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure when, but he's definitely coming back too.
But he is, because he's such a lovely guy. Jo, of course, we've got to mention Jo is a fabulous guest in the chat room. She's always supported us, and she supports me on Twitter. Hi, Jo. We love you too.
Absolutely. But he's always there to check facts for us.
Yeah, you are. But I've got to say, Jo, I'm as much as I love you, you're not going to look as good as Colton in a cowboy outfit, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Oh gosh! I think we should officially make Joe the listener of the year. What do you think? The Xandermonium listener of the year is the fabulous Joe.
Joe, absolutely. But yeah, so obviously it's Colton for me. But as a fan of his music, I love his music. I think he's got a beautiful voice. And I love his new work, which is out on iTunes now and Amazon, I think. and he's done, the covers he's done are just wonderful. And yeah, and he is, and you know yourself, he's just a lovely human being, and he's always a joy to interview as well. He's got a great sense of humour, which helps, you know, in this job. When you're not sat face to face with somebody, it's really difficult, is it, to interview, and he always makes it really fun and easy. So yeah. So hi, Colton.
Totally, absolutely. So Colton is our guest of the year on Xandermonium. So we're coming to the end of our time together for this year, Tyhe. Before you tell people where they can find you on the interweb, tell us what your New Year's resolution is. Keep it clean now.
To stop eating chocolate. Seriously, I'm going for hypnotherapy as well. There you go. I'm outing myself. I'm going for some more hypnotherapy over it as well because it's completely out of control. So there you go. There's my outing myself, talking about bipolar insanity, because I just thought this is out of control. So there you go. So the new body is on its way for next year. I'm getting myself down to 10% body fat, or less, which is a bit scary actually. That's
Brilliant.
My goal.
I won't be, well, I'll be behind you, but I'm not sure how far behind you. I'm getting there. I'm just keeping on, doing it at my own pace, and I think that's the best way to do it. And then next year, when I've got a truly amazing body, or maybe the year after, I'm gonna do a swimsuit catalog.
You just keep doing what you're doing, honey. You're doing really well.
Thank you. So tell people where they can find you, Tyhe, on social media so they can come and check out your work and what you're doing over there with Broken Flowers.
You can find me on Twitter at Tyhe Paul Egar, capital T, capital P, capital E, and the rest of it just come to www. I really do. You can just come to www.brokenflowersmultimedia.com. because there are so many links to follow me on now. We will be here for another half hour. So, yeah, brokenflowersmultimedia.com, and all the links for me are there, but Twitter is the one. Twitter, and I've started to use Vine a bit more for fun now, but and TP Egar on Facebook is my author page. But Broken Flowers is where you're going to find them all. If you want to follow me and find out what nonsense I'm up to on a daily basis. Or a weekly basis, depending on how busy I am.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Tyhe, thank you so much for your continued efforts and appearances on the show. It really is appreciated, and I look forward to you joining us in next year, which sounds like a long time away. But for today, thank you so much for joining us. Tyhe Paul Egar.
Fabulous. See you later, darling. See you, Joe. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye. That was the fabulous Tyhe Paul Egar. Make sure you go check out his debut novel, which is called Mother's Ruin, and it's part of the Reclamation Wars series, and that's available on Amazon. So make sure you check that out. Thank you so much to everyone who's listened today and made today's show possible. Thanks to Tyhe for co-hosting. And thanks to you for your continued support. The TV show will be back in the new year, too, with lots of exciting things happening on there. Thanks to everybody who came into the chat. Thanks to Joe. Thanks for always being there for us. And again, thanks to you for listening. Have a fabulous what's left of 2014 and also a great 2015. May God bless you all. I love you. Bye-bye. You're my... Wrong one.